In 1900, Moose Creek was one of the main sources of salmon for the Chickaloon tribe. It was a flourishing salmon stream. Apparently there were so many salmon you could walk across their backs. By the late 1920s, the railroad had straightened and diked Moose Creek.
So that causes your water to flow faster. And when you cause the water to flow faster, you rinse out the small gravels, the gravels that are acceptable for salmon to red in, which means nesting.
By the 1960s, the very large bedrock waterfalls had formed, which were impassable barriers for fish passage. The Chinook salmon would pool up at the bottom of the largest waterfall and die there. Many of the people that lived along the banks of Moose Creek thought that the waterfall was natural. And there were two elders of the Chickaloon Village Traditional Council that brought it to our attention. They said that historically these large waterfalls were not on Moose Creek and that they understood that it was actually straightened due to the railroad.
This was called Sedek et Nada, which means Grandmother's Place Creek. Grandma doesn't live in a place where she can't provide food, so it was a very ecologically rich place as far as food source.
It was a drag when they told us that we couldn't harvest what little fish were left. And we don't really want to catch the last fish in the ocean or the last fish in our stream, which is why we are being proactive about it rather than just always reactive.
In the early 2000s, 2005 to 2007, Chickaloon Village Traditional Council, along with many partners, both financial and technical support, restored some of the curves to Moose Creek and bypassed the waterfall barriers on Moose Creek for fish passage. The before aerial has a large waterfall on it, and it's pretty much a straight line. The after restoration project is an S-turn. So where there was the letter I, it became the letter S.
Right after the stream was put back in its bed, the fish started coming back up.
The first time they opened it up, there were 4 kings at the bottom, and they shot up the creek. For a long time, I couldn't present about this without crying, because it was like giving birth a little bit. And I can only imagine how the project people felt with having been out there every day with this project, but I'll tell you, it was pretty emotional, and it still really is, because that's what we were put here for as tribal people, is to steward this land.
That very first year, we counted over 200 Chinook salmon, the large king salmon, upstream of our bypass. It was wonderful.
It's seeing what we want to do for the next generation in progress. So it's very, it's heartwarming, to say the least.
If the things that we were doing in the past, we continue to do, like harvest salmon, a lot of our culture is still in that.
And it's hard to have culture around a bologna sandwich, you know. It's just, it doesn't have the same meaning.
This is a lot to do with rejuvenating the salmon. It kind of goes hand in hand as we rejuvenate each other.
Salmon, it's our link to this place. It's our link to this place in a healthy way.
Without salmon habitat, we won't have salmon. So it's not like we can just ask the salmon to move over a stream or move to the next bay. We need to protect the salmon habitat where it is now and restore what we may have already lost.
You know, it's all kind of interconnected. Life is a big circle, and this is just one of the stops along the way. And we're working for it to continue.
Ani si tekye ani uyak tez ani kluk kuglia chin and sadi chin.